Today I wanted to head over to the cafe and just give a little update on kind of the shop build and what is going on. I'm gonna make a little coffee first. This is not my usual home setup. I have our Luca in here, which is what we use for events. I can link that below. It has been an absolute workhorse for our events, but I wanted to set it up at home so that I could give it a deep clean, and now it's on. So we're gonna make coffee. Make coffee with this one. Unlike our Rocket home machine, this one is direct plumb. So we have a flow jet, which I also have in my links, and we connect it to a 5-gallon purified water jug. It's very similar to the way that we ran the camper, so we're pretty familiar with it. I do suggest always having a backup flow jet because you just never know what's gonna happen. They can be pretty fragile, like to transport, just because there's so many wires and stuff. So we've had a few mishaps where totally my bad. I wasn't careful with where I placed it in the car or whatever. So it's just good to have a backup just in case. I can do a more in-depth video about this machine if that's something you'd be interested in seeing, just some thoughts I've had, some tricks I've learned with it. But I wanted to make sure I had it for a good amount of time before I made any kind of video recommending anything. And at this point, it's been long enough where I think we have learned it. Camera shy pour, but we'll take it. Just to really show a true glimpse of reality, this is what most of our house looks like right now. So these couches will be going into the cafe. The floors aren't done. We still have to paint. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. So there's nowhere for us to store any of this. We obviously don't want to be paying for a storage unit if we could keep it here. So most of the rooms in our house have some level of coffee equipment, as well as our garage is full. So the espresso machine is in like my office, just on the ground. There's a fridge floating around somewhere. Oh, in this room that Brian's about to drywall is one of our fridges. And then yeah, our garage is just absolutely packed with coffee stuff. So we've had to pause on purchasing furniture because we just don't have anywhere to put it. First things first, now that we are at the shop, you can see it's this corner right here. These two spots, these first two, this one and then the one right there, are gonna be Hazel parking only. So we get to put a sign on these. We are still waiting. This parking spot doesn't have like a pole, so that needs to be installed, but I believe we're gonna make these to-go parking only. And the reason for that is if people are coming and they're gonna hang out a little while, this whole street has parking lined up, kind of like we're in a neighborhood. So there's a bunch of street parking, shouldn't be too disruptive, but with only having 2 spots in the actual lot, to go feels the best, because if you're gonna come stay a while, you might not mind walking and having to like find parking for a second. It's a little more worth it. Whereas if somebody's driving by and they're just trying to grab something to go really quickly, I'd like to have these spots for them so that they don't just keep on driving. If it's to go, I think it's better to know you have a spot, you can pull in, you can get it, you can leave, and then these 2 spots will kind of on and off be open. So hopefully a little less room for people to leave. But being in Ann Arbor, more of like a city, people are pretty used to finding parking and walking. Again, it won't be terribly far, but we're working with what we have. So that's my blurb until we get into the shop. We will have this entire patio space, which I'm pretty excited about. And this is the road and the rest of the complex. All right, so being in the building, it honestly probably does not look much different from the last video we posted, except for the giant hole in the floor is all covered, and I've never been so happy to see a solid floor. For us, that's progress. But firstly, I did just want to check. We've been having some HVAC issues. They should be fixed. Look at that. It's been like 90 degrees in here for the guys working, and somebody finally came out to look at that. So today I had to make sure that the temperature was still sitting around 68 and not resetting itself. I have one of those sticky things on the back of my phone, and it's been great. Okay. I have something to like sit on. This is fine. It's my ice chest. Where have we been? What's been up? I feel like I have an issue posting if I don't feel like I have anything to say. And I do need to get over that because I want to be able to share as much as possible, but we've had about a 5-month stretch where nothing was really happening in this space. So I kind of took a step back from sharing as much, but that is the reality of it, is that I guess really nothing was happening. But now that it is all, we've come out on the other end and we're able to start construction again, I can at least share kind of what happened during that period of time. I do think it's super important to note that every business owner, no matter what kind of business you're starting, especially in the brick and mortar space, everything's just so dependent on the specific project you're doing. So the problems I come across are probably extremely different from problems other cafes might go through. But this being a new build, beautiful apartment building, we firstly were set back a little bit because the building itself was running into some city issues and they were delayed, which was totally fine. Everybody was very open and upfront about that. So we got in the space a little later than expected. Once we got in the space, we were really just pushing through. All this framing went up, everything was looking beautiful, going a little too well, right? That's when you know something's gonna happen. So all the inspections started passing, going on. The plumbing inspector came in. He approved all of the plumbing, which is why the floors were open for so long. What he didn't like is that currently we share a bathroom, 2 bathrooms, a men's and a women's, with the apartment complex. So the way it's set up is if you walk through this door right here, there's the 2 bathrooms, the janitor's closet, and then you have to use your key fob to get into the rest of the building. So tenants who are using the lobby or using the gym are able to walk in to use the bathrooms, are able to access the cafe when we're open, and our customers would just be able to get into that little hallway to use the bathrooms. Our plans were approved, the building's plans were approved, so this pause coming from the specific inspector was a little bit jarring for everybody because nobody really understood where it came from. So from that point, we obviously reached out to our landlords reached out to their architect, we reached out to our architect started working on what ifs, like what if we need to add a bathroom? Our landlord, thankfully, was like, we're really not trying to make that happen, we're fairly confident this isn't gonna be an issue because this building has been in the works for 3 years, so everything being approved, that should be enough. As usual, you know, people retire, things change, so the team that had approved this building isn't necessarily the same team that's currently on the board and inspecting and reviewing everything. So there is a little bit of that transition too, which I understand. But we had to have kind of like an all-hands meeting, us, the landlords, our architect, their architect, everybody came together, talked a little bit about what we need to do. We drafted an email explaining everything, really laying it all out, and sent it to the correct contacts within the city, and everything was just kind of radio silent. So there was a lot of nudging, a lot of poking, a lot of voicemails, a lot going unanswered. So that period of time was a little stressful. To be fully honest, if we would have had to fund a bathroom, I don't know that we would have been able to make it work. As I've mentioned before, we're entirely self-funded, and truly every bit of money we have to spend on this project is allocated for. It's in the project. So a bathroom would have really set us back. Also, the only way we could have added one would have cut off access from the apartment, which is something we loved about this space, is that the tenants could come directly in without having to go outside. It also obviously would have cost us some square footage, which is never fun. You want as many seats as possible. After the kind of 5 weeks of pause, which somebody was on paternity leave, there was 4th of July, so it was just a really crazy time to be trying to get a hold of people. But after the 5 weeks, eventually we get an email just saying, yep, you're approved, everything's good, the bathrooms are fine. Sorry for the confusion. Obviously it was a delay, so that wasn't fun. We ended up paying a little over $1,000 in fees for our architect's time, which we weren't expecting. Could have been worse if we would have had to pay for like bathroom plans, but still not fun. All just to kind of come back and be like, you're good. So the floors had to stay open for plumbing purposes, and now they're able to be filled. During that 5-week hold, a lot of people were asking, well, what can you do? Can you get in there? Can you work on something else? Unfortunately, because that was held, all permits on people being in this space and working were held. So our contractor no longer could come in here. The city basically puts a bar on it and says you can't touch this space until this issue is resolved. So really there was nothing we could be doing. It was a bit of a defeating time, but we just kept rolling with it, kept doing events, and now here we are. We're back in action. It did obviously set us back that 5 weeks, and then maybe a couple more, because when you hire contractors, if there's a pause on a job, they're not just going to sit around and wait for 5 weeks. They need to work too. They're also a business. So they took some other jobs and now are trying to kind of rework their schedule to get back in this space. I've been super, super impressed. I really love like the team, everyone involved. I feel like has been the one thing that's brought me peace through all of this is just that we have, I almost feel emotional, such great people behind this project, and without that, I think I would have felt like I was drowning for the last few weeks. So these are happy. I don't know why I'm emotional. It's like a happy thing, it's a good thing. It's like everything that I'd hoped for in a space is like the community that's already forming. So anyways, that is where we've been. That's why we haven't been updating. And that's why, yeah, we still have so much equipment and stuff in our house. But the next steps for here, obviously they filled the floors. On Tuesday, I don't know what day I'm releasing this, but we have somebody from the city coming to do a building inspection. Truly, I couldn't tell you what all the different inspections are. Thankfully, our contractor does, but they'll be coming in to do a building inspection. If that looks good, that passes, then they're going to drywall, kind of touch up all the holes, put up all the drywall kind of framing stuff everywhere. After that, I think it's floors, and then cabinets, and then counters, and then fixtures, because all of our electrical has passed, but they're obviously not going to put the fixtures in until it looks a little nicer, so nobody's knocking into our pretty lights. Painting the space, we're actually going to be the ones getting in here and painting it ourselves. The quote for painting was $8,500. So we figured that's something we just do on our own. One other issue we've run into thus far is with the HVAC. So everything was installed, good to go. We had that 5-week delay, and the team was in here working on stuff, and they were like, it is 90 degrees in here. We can't keep working like this. The HVAC people came out, said it was fine. We're like, oh, tell your electrician stop messing with it. Turns out there was something wrong. The AC would kick on for about 15-20 minutes, and then randomly it would switch to heat at full blast. So it feels pretty good in here now. Looks like, I guess somehow the like system was kind of resetting itself to like the factory settings, switching the heat on. Whatever it was, it's fixed now, so really happy to feel it be nice and cool in here while they finish up their work, and then obviously when we get customers in here. I feel like we're taking it day by day. It still almost doesn't feel real. During that 5-week period, was of course staying positive, but was also thinking there's a very real possibility that this doesn't end up happening for us if things don't go our way or if we don't get approved, because we can't just make money appear out of thin air. But we're back on track. We're feeling good. Yeah, we have this beautiful space that honestly feels bigger than I had imagined, which is wonderful. One thing we might have an issue with is like storage for alternative milks and syrups and all that. So this is the back area. We're gonna have our sink here, and then our giant fridge here, and then our hot water heater. So that doesn't leave a ton of room for shelving, for extra storage, cups, lids, paper goods. So we're gonna have to make the most out of all of our cabinets that go under here. Brian's gonna install some shelving up higher, and we'll have like a stool. We're gonna make it work, of course. But just thinking of all those little things, I'm excited to get in here once it's our turn to start doing the finishing touches, because that's when I feel like it's going to feel real to me. It felt real when all of this went up, which the team put all this framing up in literally 2 days. So I was like, wow, we're cranking through. This thing's going to be done in no time. And then we hit a hiccup, but it's expected to happen. Here's a full 0.5 view of the space. Again, having closed floors just feels already so much nicer than it was just a few days ago. It has been so great getting to connect with all of you. Anybody who is interested in starting a cafe, maybe you found me because you want to start something mobile, maybe it's physical, maybe you're just interested in watching and learning the process, but it really does help keep me going. I've loved getting to share from our early days till now. And yeah, it feels like we're building this together. So I really appreciate the support, especially to everyone who was like, hey, what's happening with the cafe? Did your contractors steal your money? No, they're here, they're great. They didn't charge us for the delay, which was so kind. We were just paused for a little bit, but now we're back. I have more to share. I'm gonna try to get over that fear of like sharing without having anything to say. But it's what it is right now. So this is the space. We'll get started again on Tuesday, hopefully. See some drywall going up. Get some friends in here with pizza and beer and paint, because there's a lot more wall than I remember. Brian would like to paint these a color. We'll see how adventurous we get there, how much energy we have when the time comes. But again, I've just been really grateful for everybody kind of following this, everybody asking when the cafe is opening. I know it's later than we expected, but we're doing our best to get open as soon as we possibly can. Keep an eye out for opening day and come say hey, support us. Tell your friends that are coming through Michigan, coming through Ann Arbor. We would love to see you. As always, thanks for following the journey. It's been exciting, and hopefully we can get open by September, but don't quote me because I've been wrong before. Cheers.